In class photograph of correction officer cadets doing the Nazi salute. Plus, if you're looking to stick with that New Year's resolution, you may need some help, some tips to stay with it.
It's the end of the decade. And the
live in Western Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 11.
Dozens of West Virginia state employees are fired over a photo showing them giving a Nazi salute. Good evening and thanks for joining us on NBC 16 News at 11. I am Alexis Thrower. This picture shows a class of correction officer cadets, hands raised in the salute, all now fired, along with 3 academy instructors. 36 people in all. The state's governor approving the firing yesterday, making the move after a state report recommended the terminations. That report finding 1 cadet started the salute, followed by other class members. Not all cadets supported the gesture, but say they were pressured by an instructor to participate.
The instructor, within 10 seconds, could have said, "That is inappropriate behavior. Do not do that again." And that did not occur. We would not be here today.
That instructor is cited in the report as saying she did not know the racial or historical implications of the gesture and thought it was just a greeting. However, other people told investigators that she claimed the Hitler comparison reflected her hard-as-nails attitude at work. The tug of war over the Senate impeachment trial is heating up tonight. Another Republican is questioning the party's impartiality, saying she is open to witnesses. NBC's Jeff Bennett reports.
Tonight, a second Republican senator now criticizing Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for working closely with the White House on President Trump's Senate impeachment trial.
Everything I do during this, I'm coordinating with White House counsel.
Maine Senator Susan Collins calling McConnell's approach inappropriate.
It is inappropriate, in my judgment, for senators on either side of the aisle to prejudge the evidence before they have heard what is presented to us.
Her comments echoing Alaska GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski, also critical of McConnell's pledge.
Well, and in fairness, when I heard that, I was disturbed.
Democrats want key White House insiders to testify as witnesses about withholding aid to Ukraine. If Democrats can convince 4 Republicans and win 51 Senate votes, they get to set the parameters and call those witnesses before a trial starts. Democrats looking to pressure vulnerable GOP senators like Collins, who faces a tough re-election.
I am open to witnesses. I think it's premature to decide who should be called until we see the evidence that is presented.
On to a first look at weather. NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knutson joins us now.
A lot of rain rolling its way through the Pacific Northwest this evening. Overnight tonight, some heavy downpours are expected for our area, and Wednesday's looking pretty wet in general. But here's that satellite and radar loop for the last couple of hours. Where you see the deep greens, the yellow, and the orange, that's where the rain's a little bit more intent around the region. We have a winter weather advisory for higher elevations above about 6,000 feet here in blue. That'll continue until noon or midnight on Thursday. On the coast, the purple color here is a high surf advisory. The storm moving in, bringing some very high waves around the area. But here's a look at our temperatures tonight. We cool down into the mid to upper 40s. A lot of moisture keeps us from cooling off too much. Highs tomorrow right around 50 degrees and plenty of moisture is on the way. I'll tell you when things might dry out again, though, in my forecast coming up.
Thank you so much, Travis. A stabbing in North Bend leaves a mother dead and her daughter facing a murder charge. NBC 16's Lauren Negretti reports.
A movie scene, a mass of lights, flashing lights, and I just knew.
Stephen Skinner is mourning the loss of his neighbor, 58-year-old Ramona Matthews.
We lost a wonderful person.
Police responded to her home Monday night just before 8. Coos County District Attorney Paul Frazier says the victim was found with stab wounds. Her daughter, 25-year-old Alexis Berquist, is facing a second-degree murder charge.
I can't comment on motivation.
He also couldn't speak on her criminal history, but says
that there have been incidents in the past here where the suspect had actually been trespassed from the property. They would make up and mom would invite her back over, and so there is some history of perhaps a rocky relationship.
Skinner says Berquist slept in the streets off and on for several years.
Lexi would sleep out there in a sleeping bag. for weeks at a time. That was her home.
Frazier says officers are interviewing people and collecting evidence, including forensic. Reporting in Coos County, I'm Lauren Negretti.
The request will be arraigned on Thursday. A man is dead after investigators say he barricaded himself inside a cabin during a police standoff, and then the cabin caught fire and exploded. The Lane County Sheriff's Office says Oak Ridge police tried to contact the man about a warrant yesterday night. LCSO says the man hid inside the cabin on a narrow road east of Oak Ridge and refused to come out. But early this morning, deputies heard a small explosion followed by a large fire and more explosions, possibly from propane tanks. First responders found a body after putting out the fire, and it's believed to be the body of the barricaded man. The man's identity has not yet been released as the sheriff's office, medical examiner, and fire marshal's office all investigate what happened. Crime in downtown Eugene this year has pushed many local businesses and business owners to the edge. Some say the stigma of safety has not just affected business, but seemingly causing a dramatic drop in sales. The Davis restaurant and Elkhorn Brewery both fear the crowds of homeless on their property have scared off customers. The owner of the Davis, Tom Camus, says reservations and walk-ins have fallen to some of the lowest he's seen in 13 years of business. Even some of his regulars have told him they stay away because of the crowds of transients in front of his restaurant.
My staff takes an active role in going out to the front, chasing people off of our tables, chasing people away from just standing in the front dealing drugs or doing drugs. I mean, either or. But they have taken a more active role.
Stephen Sheehan of Elkhorn also says business has been slow with sales down in December. Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, it's no shame in admitting you need a push to stick to your New Year's resolution, and we've got some tips to help. And later in the show, Tom Adams helps us close out the year with a recap of the top stories of 2019.
The biggest tradition I'm going to try to keep is just to always celebrate it with
News at 11.
Losing weight, quitting smoking, saving money, just some of the most popular New Year's resolutions. But how do you make them stick? Mandy Gaither now with some tips that can help in today's Health Minute.
Every year starts out with the best intentions to become your best self. But according to a 2015 story from U.S. News and World Report, 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by the second week of February. The American Psychological Association says these 5 things can turn a struggle into a success. First, start small. Go after a realistic goal. For example, if more exercise is your resolution, begin with a few days a week instead of 7. Next, change one behavior at a time. Changing too much at once may be overwhelming. Talk about it. Make sure family and friends know your goals so they can help. Joining a group like a workout class or getting together with others who are quitting smoking can also help with resolution success. But if you have a slip, don't beat yourself up. Simply recover from the mistake and get back on track. Finally, seek support. Don't face the stress of reaching your goals alone. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
With the potential of fireworks being used to ring in the new year, Green Hill wants to remind you to keep your pets extra safe today and tomorrow. Green Hill says they take in about 3 times as many dogs during New Year's and 4th of July due to fireworks. You can keep them from running off by keeping them inside and in a confined area with background noise like a fan or music. Also, make sure their microchip information is up to date if they have one.
A lot of animals, dogs, cats, are instinct is to run, and they don't know where they're running, and that's how we get so many lost and found animals during 4th of July and during New Year's.
In Eugene, it's legal to set off approved fireworks on both New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Turning to weather now, NBC 16's meteorologist Travis Knudsen is standing by for a look at what's coming up in your full forecast. Travis?
Rainfall continues overnight tonight into our Wednesday morning with temperatures in the mid to upper 40s for those lows. And while things are wet for now, we do dry out eventually. I'll tell you when coming up next.
The boss says we're overstocked.
We've got
16 News at 11.
From snowmageddon and springtime flooding to a fatal officer-involved shooting at a Eugene school, 2019 produced a ton of headlines in Lane County and Oregon. NBC 16's Tom Adams takes a look at the top stories of 2019.
We begin our look back to a custody dispute at a Eugene school January 11th that turned deadly. Prosecutors say 2 Eugene police officers were justified when they fatally shot 30-year-old Charles Landeros outside Cascade Middle School. Police say Landeros fired 2 shots at the officers during a struggle. Mother Nature delivered a big blow in the last week of February. We awoke to a blanket of snow February 24th. Snow that topped 2 feet in areas of the South Hills of Eugene. The snow prompted closures of every kind. It also trapped a passenger train.
Nobody can get a cigarette break for 17 hours. 17!
The Amtrak Coast Starlight, with 183 passengers on board, became trapped when the train hit a tree that had fallen onto the tracks near Oak Ridge. With power outages and blocked roadways in the area, Amtrak decided to keep everyone on board. Relief passengers arrived in Eugene 3 days later. Snow gave way to rising water in early spring. Floods hit rural Lane County and the greater Corvallis area as the Willamette, Mohawk, and other streams spilled over their banks. Floodwaters inundated the fairways at Tristine Tree Golf Club and made a new practice course for the Oregon State crew team. Lane County voters delivered an emphatic thumbs down in May on a $154 million bond issue to build a new county courthouse. Nearly 6 out of 10 voters said no. The death of a juvenile bobcat found at Oak Hill School in October launched a wave of controversy. State police say euthanizing the bobcat by blunt force trauma to the head was humane under veterinary medical guidelines. Wildlife advocates, though, felt otherwise. It was a muted wildfire season, not as severe as in recent years. The biggest fire in the region was the Milepost 97 blaze near Canyonville, which burned about 13,000 acres. Closer to Eugene, fire heavily damaged or destroyed 5 mobile homes at the Oaks Mobile Home Park in Goshen. From the business beat, area construction continued at a torrid pace. 5th Street Public Market expansion work shifted into high gear with the announcement of Nike returning to downtown Eugene as a lead tenant. Not to be outdone, 2 giant projects continue at the University of Oregon. The multi-million-dollar new Hayward Field project and the $1 billion night campus set to open in mid-2020. I'm Tom Adams reporting.
And at the legislature in Salem, the big story of 2019 was a series of Republican state senator walkouts, the first one in May over a bill to raise corporate taxes for schools. GOP senators eventually returned after reaching a deal with Governor Kate Brown and Senate Democrats. Then they managed again to prevent a vote on establishing a carbon tax in Oregon.
And now weather with Chief Meteorologist Travis Knudsen.
We've seen a little bit of rain around the area for the last couple of hours. Here's a look at some of those rain totals from midnight to this evening, where the numbers you see here have pretty much picked up in the last hour or two. Essentially almost at 1/4 of an inch for the inland valleys and already over a 1/2 inch of rain for those on the coast. More rain persisting across our region as we head through the overnight hours. In fact, if we zoom on out to look at the satellite and radar across the Pacific Ocean, all the clouds you see here stretched out across the Pacific, those clouds have rain in them and they are headed our way. They're riding the jet stream, which is the main avenue for moisture across the Pacific Ocean. And right now it's pointed directly at the state of Oregon, which means all this rain is our rain. Now the jet stream is not stationary. It does move north and south, and it'll start to slip its way back up to the north a little bit, driven that direction by a high pressure center here off the California coast. And as the jet stream gets farther away from us, we start to see some drier or mostly dry air move on in for our Wednesday afternoon, our Thursday, and our Friday. So Thursday, Friday, relatively dry days for us, but it's going to see a few raindrops here and there around the region. But for the most part, dry conditions. But it's only temporary because this high pressure center is on the move. And you'll notice on the back end of this jet stream where it descends down to the south, this dip is more rain and this moisture stream out here to the southwest. The whole thing will just propagate its way out off to the east until eventually it's pointed right over the Pacific Northwest once more. And once it gets here, showers return to our area, and this arrives on Saturday. So tonight's pretty wet. Wednesday we'll see some showers. We'll get a break somewhat for our Thursday and Friday before more moisture by the time we reach our Saturday. Now here's a look at midnight tonight, where there's quite a bit of rain all around the area. As we head into tomorrow morning, this is 9 a.m. Showers above us. They won't be quite as intense as what we're seeing this evening and tonight, but still present through a good majority of our day. By 10 p.m. tomorrow, those raindrops start to break up a little bit. We'll still be somewhat wet, but quieting down. And then by Thursday morning, this is 8 o'clock, not really supporting any showers any longer around our area. So here's a look at how much additional rainfall is expected over the next 24 hours. This is on top of the half-inch or so we've already seen for many spots. You can tack on another quarter to maybe 3/10 of an inch of rain for those inland areas, and the coast another half-inch to maybe an inch or so over the next 24 hours. Now, as far as our temperatures go, we'll be in the mid-40s tonight. Highs tomorrow, low 50s on the way. Not a lot of variation from our nighttime temperatures to our daytime temperatures, and that's no surprise considering all the moisture we have in the atmosphere. It makes it tough to cool down at night, makes it tough to warm up during the day. But as we dry out, which we do start to do Thursday into Friday, our overnight lows cool off a little bit. Next widespread round of rain hits us as we head into Saturday. For the coast, mid-50s for your highs tomorrow. A bit breezy at times. Winds from the west 10 to 20 miles per hour. 7-day forecast here for the coast. Showers tapering off throughout our Thursday, a probably dry Friday, and then the weekend starts off a bit on the wet side with more rain pushing in for Saturday. The Umpqua Valley around 50 degrees for our highs tomorrow. Southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. A look at your 7-day forecast here for Roseburg. We have some wet weather for our Wednesday. Rain breaks apart and dries out for Thursday. Mostly cloudy skies for Friday. Next round of rain should be with us as we head into the first weekend of 2020.
Thank you so much, Travis. Next in sports, one more sleep until Oregon and Wisconsin take the stage for the Rose Bowl. We get to hear from each head coach one final time ahead of kickoff.
Can my side be firm?
Mine's super soft.
C16 Sports Desk is brought to you by Three Rivers Casino Resort.
The wait is almost over. The 106th Rose Bowl game is just a day away, and one of Oregon's super fans will be in attendance come game day. Hayden Herrera got to sit down with that fan this week.
It's great for Oregon, obviously, to be in a game of this magnitude. I think if you had asked anybody at the beginning of the season, hey, Oregon's going to play for the Rose Bowl, anybody who would have said they're not happy with that needs to kind of readjust their thinking. I'm looking forward to seeing Troy Dye go out in style, given what he's done for Oregon. I'm interested to see if Thibodeau gets his 10th sack. He's been good. And then, of course, Herbert, this is a big game for him. I'm excited to see him on the big stage because I don't know that he's played his best game, and I think that might jump out on January 1st.
What does it mean to you when you're able to throw out those Oregon references on SportsCenter, shouting out Taylor, shouting out Autzen or Kelly Graves, just random Eugene stuff? What does that mean to you?
Well, listen, Oregon is, where I'm from. I've got home roots in Oregon. I got home roots in Spokane. I got home roots in Hawaii. And I think it's important that those people that are responsible for your success are recognized. And by those people, I mean the people of Oregon, the people of Hawaii, the people of Spokane. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to be associated with Oregon. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And so any chance that I have to give back, I love doing it.
I think the folks in Oregon would say the same. Neil Everett, enjoy the game on Wednesday. Neil Everett from ESPN. Cool is the rule. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can. You just did.
So it is New Year's Eve and it is Rose Bowl Eve, and after a full week of activities and football preparation, we got to hear from the Rose Bowl head coaches one last time before the game. Brandon Cameraman has the latest.
Two college football coaches at a press conference. Needless to say,
do you think sky's the limit?
There were cliches.
Enjoy the journey and appreciate the journey.
Praise for the other team.
A really talented, well-coached football team in Oregon.
As physical as they are, as well coached as they are.
And after a week of events and other press conferences, there were a couple tidbits of news.
Micah Pittman will be playing. He's been practicing with us.
Micah Pittman, out for the last month and a half with a broken arm, will play.
He has been cleared, and we're excited to have him back.
And we heard Cristobal subtly advocate for an expanded college football playoff field.
I think anytime you could include more right? In that particular, in that party, I think it's a good thing.
Wisconsin head coach Paul Chryst was a little more evasive.
We're fortunate there's a ton of people that care about it, and so I'm going to let them figure it out.
In 30 minutes, there was very little actual football discussed.
You're going to have to be able to run, you're going to have to be able to pass. That's the game.
A game that draws two like-minded programs to Southern California for a New Year's Day soiree.
It's an unbelievable venue, but I think it's more than that.
When you have a game that's known as a granddaddy of them all, kind of speaks for itself right there, right?
And that's the last speech we get to hear before the players do the talking. Reporting in Los Angeles, I'm Brandon Kammerman.
And again, kickoff will be 2 p.m. on New Year's Day. That's it for sports. Back to you.
Coming up next on NBC 16 News at 11, some parts of the world have already brought in the new year, and we get a glimpse from Australia to see how they celebrate it.
Some things just can't last forever, like the final days.
It's already 2020 down under, and Australians rang in the new year with a massive firework display on Sydney's Harbour Bridge. Some activists wanted fireworks left out due to the thousands of residents displaced from escaping bushfires, but the show still went on. Auckland, New Zealand is the first major city to ring in the new year, which is 2 hours ahead of Sydney. That is amazing. Those fireworks are phenomenal. But thank you for watching NBC 16 News at 11. I am Alexis Thrower. Have a happy and safe new year.